Hi everyone, it's Lucy from My Crazy Craft Life, and I'm here today with a design team post for Scrapping for Less. Today I'm going to be making a couple different cards, and the products I'm going to be using are Amy Design Wild Animals Paper Pack. It has 23 sheets, they're all double-sided. Most of actually I think they're all the same pretty much as far as the patterns on both sides. They're just different tones, and it's actually kind of cool. I'm also going to be using Your Next stamp set, one in a Chameleon. I'm going to be using a Doodle Pop Koala. I'm going to be using some Scrapping for Less sequins that we got into a prior kit. And then I'm going to be using a stencil from Kindred Stamps. And I'm not sure the name of it, but it has some wild, or not wild, but like tropical leaves on the stamp, and you'll see that on the next card. And so for this first card, I picked out some papers. I do end up grabbing a different one as well. And I colored the Chameleon with the Studio 71 markers. And I actually went online to look to see what colors a chameleon was when I started to color this, and lo and behold, they're a chameleon and they change colors, so there's lots of different colors. But for this one, obviously there was a lot of greens and kind of turquoise greens, and so that's what I ended up deciding to do. So the body's kind of a turquoise green, the head and one of the arms is more of a green, and then I just decided to stamp that flower because originally I was going to put it on his head or her head, but I decided I didn't like how it looked, so I stuck it on the chest. So I loved this pattern paper with all of the wild animals on there, and so I decided to use that as kind of a big point of it. And then since that pattern paper is more of a like actual looking animals, and then the chameleon is kind of a more of a character, I decided that it would be cool to kind of stick him in a circle. I cut the circle down, but to stick him in a circle on his own and use the sentiment, "You're one in a chameleon." So, there was all these herds of other animals, and then you have him standing there all by himself. And then on the inside, I put "Don't ever change." So the stamp set's really cute, and I know it's one that's been out for a while, but it's really an adorable set, and the sentiments are really cute in there too. So, like I said, I decided I was going to put him on there and do that. So one of the things I also did was I wanted to heat emboss the sentiment, and I forgot to use my embossing tool, and so I ended up having to do it again because there was just too much little pieces on there that melted on there when I did it, and I didn't like how it looked, so I ended up having to make another one. And so that's what I'm kind of doing here, is making sure that it actually looks good and doesn't have specks all over it from doing it and not using your embossing tool. So little tip, make sure you use your embossing tool, since I always forget. But both of these cards are A2 size cards, or 4.25 by 5.5, and the panels on both of these cards are 4 inches by 5.25. I did decide to pop up the sentiment as well as the chameleon on here, and then after I get the chameleon on there, I decided to put some Spectrum Noir sparkle pen all over him or her, because I just thought reptiles are sparkly, or I don't know if they're sparkly exactly, but they look kind of slimy or whatever, and I just thought that would be cute. Now originally I was going to put the sentiment on the top, but I just loved that pattern paper so much I didn't want to cover it up, or covered it up as little as I could. So I decided to pop it on the bottom there. And then, like I said, on the inside I put "Don't ever change." So on the front it says "You're one in a chameleon," and on the inside it says "Don't ever change." And then I popped that flower on his chest, or her chest, and that's the end of that first card. I think it turned out really cute, and I was really happy with how that one turned out. The next card, I'm going to be using some of the sentiments from the same stamp set. I'm going to be using the wild paper, one of them, and one of the pattern papers is like sand that's kind of rippled. And so I decided to put this stencil on top of it. I did use some pixie spray on there and use some Distress Oxides. And the Distress Oxides I used, peeled paint. They were peeled paint, Twisted Citron, and Lucky Clover. And so I just kind of blended them all over, and I did it really thick because I wanted it to kind of cover the patterns in the pattern paper. And it ended up coming out, I think it came out really, really cool using that pattern paper, because you kind of have the pattern in the background where the stencil wasn't, and then where the stencil was, you know, obviously you have it of those tropical leaves, and I just thought it turned out really, really cute. And then I was going back and forth on how I wanted to put the sentiment, but then I decided just to stamp it directly on the panel, that front panel there. And like I said, I really loved how this one turned out too. I've never used a Doodle Pop before, at least I don't remember if I ever did. They're actually kind of cool. They're really cute, and they give a lot of dimension to the card, and it's really easy because, you know, you don't have to color it, you don't have to do anything, you just kind of pop it off, and yet it doesn't look like a sticker exactly. It looks, I don't know, I just really liked it. I did end up using the Misty for the second part of that sentiment. I wish I would have used it on the first, on the thanks portion of it, just so I can stamp it again. It stamped really well, and I mean, it's fine, but I would have liked to put it on there again, but I just didn't want to play around since I had already had that panel done. Then I kind of went back and forth on how I wanted to put the Doodle Pop down, and I decided to have him kind of hanging off the branch, so he's kind of sideways on there, which I just thought was really cute. Then I pulled out some of the sequins, like I said, from an old Scrapping for Less kit, and I used them kind of in the same color scheme. I used an orange, a yellow, and a green, and I put 3 of them on each corner, opposite corners, opposite of the sentiments. And so this sentiment says, "Thanks for going out on a limb for me." And once I get that done, that is the end of that card. So these are my 2 cards for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you stick around after this, there will be a couple posted up here that you can check out as well. So again, thanks for joining me, and have a great day.